This is a Red FM Vancouver podcast. Make sure you hit subscribe for more great content. For further info, log on to redfm.ca.
The Minister of Transport and Infrastructure, Honourable Claire Trevena, ਅੱਜ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਈ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਨੇ ਇਨਕਲੂਡਿੰਗ ਬਾਉਂਡਰੀਜ਼ ਅਬੋਲਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਉੱਠ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਏਗੀ. Minister, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
So people are asking to abolish the boundaries for cabs. Is it happening any soon?
Well, I've heard from drivers who want to see boundaries eradicated so they can travel across the lower mainland without problems. And I've heard from other drivers who think it's helpful to keep them. So this is something that is being assessed. It is we have a two-level, I think everybody's aware, we have this two-level system where these sorts of decisions are made by an independent organisation, the Passenger Transportation Board. But obviously I've heard from people who are concerned about the ability to either protect the security of their service by keeping boundaries, and those who want to have freedom of movement and be able to feel that they can compete better by getting rid of boundaries. So it's a difficult issue.
So anytime soon something will happen or no?
Well, it is being looked at. I'm not going to give a date because in the end, this one isn't in my control. It is dealt with separately, but it is something that is obviously of great concern to people who make a living in the taxi industry. And I know how hard that has been over the last number of months with everything that's happened with COVID, that people have been out there working with essential workers, carrying on their business, trying to keep afloat, and they really want to have a decision. So I understand the urgency of it.
Mm-hmm. But you realize they'll be giving level playing field with Uber.
Well, we have been doing a lot to make sure that those who make a living and support their families in the taxi industry have a fair opportunity here. And again, I know that with COVID, everything has been hard for everyone who's worked in the passenger transportation sector. Every taxi driver has been losing business. We know that. And I really thank them for being essential service and working, taking essential workers to hospitals and so on. But we have made sure right from the very start that we have created a fair system, right from bringing more. We know that people want more service in regular times. We brought on extra vehicles, extra taxis immediately that we started working on this, a 15% increase, 500 extra vehicles on the road in the taxi sector. We've made sure that there is the same insurance model taxi drivers can go for, that those working who are not in the taxi sector have to get a Class 4 license, and that for me is essential. It puts them, has to put them on a par with taxi. It makes sure that we have the safest system for anyone getting in and paying for a ride in somebody's vehicle, whether it's a taxi or a ride-hail vehicle that's the safest ride. Mm-hmm. And recently we've got the new insurance model that also is similar to that ride-hail operators can use. So in so many ways we've made sure that it's a fair system. And the latest announcement last week is bringing down the annual license fee. We've cut it by half.
I was about to talk about this because I think you tried to make their life easier, but it's not well received. Neither small companies or big companies, they all seem to be unhappy, what they're telling me. Why did you go in that direction?
Why did we go in the direction of reducing the license fee?
Yeah.
Because we wanted to make sure that people had this very difficult time. They had a greater opportunity.
But they're not happy with that.
Well, people are not always happy with everything, but those who are independent operators who get it's a half of the cost. It's $50 rather than $100, which is good. On top of, during COVID, we already deferred it, and so if somebody's deferred their license, they don't have to come back in and pay it at the rate they would have paid it. They pay it at this new rate. Likewise for fleets, we've got it so it's exactly the same as with ride-hail. It's a capped, no matter how many vehicles you've got, it's got a capped figure. And so we're working hard to make sure that those people who work very hard to make a living in the taxi sector do have opportunities.
And what's happening, Minister, with the Massey Tunnel replacement and Patello Bridge?
On the Patello, we've had no problems having had COVID. We're still on time. We're still working to the same schedule we were with opening in a couple of years. We're going to be seeing more work start as we go through the summer into the fall. And on Massey, again, no change in our timeline. There will be a business case later this year with the government's preferred option, with it all ready to go and start doing procurement as soon as we start getting the business case. So both are absolutely on time. I know that people are frustrated both with Patello that they're still on the old bridge, but you don't build a bridge overnight. And with Massey, likewise, we want to make sure we get the what is right for the people who live in the region, that we are providing the right crossing for the people who live in the region.
And Minister, TransLink is continuously forecasting huge losses, more than $1 billion. How will that affect the construction project happening here, the partnership with the TransLink Surrey Langley SkyTrain, for example?
Well, obviously it's the bottom line has really hit the operating budget, but still on track to be working on all the capital expansion. And I think that the TransLink is obviously, like all transportation systems, facing problems with COVID. We as a government are working closely with all transportation systems, whether it's TransLink or Transit or BC Ferries, to make sure that we have a really good, strong, viable transit system to go forward.
And Mr., are you considering that Uber and ride-hailing drivers as an employees, not as contractors, that change may come?
That is something for the Minister of Labour to be looking at. I know that in certain jurisdictions that is happening. And so I think that is something that obviously the Minister of Labour would be looking at.
So you discussed with Harry Vance?
That exactly, yes.
Mm-hmm. So you have talked to him that this is...
This is something that we're obviously watching as it unfolds in other jurisdictions, whether people are regarded as operators, independent operators, or as employees. So this is a labour issue, and it's something that Minister Baines is very cognizant of.
I was speaking to the Federal Infrastructure Minister, Minister McKenna. I think they're looking for shovel-ready projects to fund it. Do we have in BC any projects ready for that?
We have lots of projects, and I'm in regular contact with Minister McKenna myself to make sure that BC's needs are front and centre when it comes to planning for infrastructure projects, both the small and the large. We have many projects that would be ready to go, and I think Minister McKenna has a good list from BC on her desk in front of her.
Minister, anything you'd like to say in closing?
Well, I just want to say that I think it's been a very difficult time for so many people with COVID. It's been very hard for people who are independently trying to make a living and feeling the challenges. And I really respect everybody's hard work in trying to come through this and trying to work together to restart our economy. It's been a very difficult year for so many people, and I just want to thank them for their patience and look forward to seeing that we get back on our feet pretty soon.
Minister, do you wear a mask?
When I'm in a crowded place or when I am on public transit, I wear a mask. When I'm outside walking my dog or on my bicycle, I do not. But if it's the guidance to wear a mask in a crowded place or definitely on transit, I would be wearing a mask. So
in transit, do you think it should be compulsory?
Well, I think it's very hard to make these things compulsory. I think that it's common sense that if you're wanting to make sure that people can travel safely, that you will wear a mask. I think more and more people are wearing masks. It's becoming a very commonplace thing to see, and I think that it's a safe thing to be doing to make sure that COVID doesn't spread any further.
Minister, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Harjinder.
Thanks.
I know.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another Red FM podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe and check out our Red FM Canada YouTube channel. For further info, log on to our Red FM social media platforms or visit redfm.ca.